Welcome back to the Punk Uncle Show. Today we are in my office. Why, you ask? Well, that's because we're doing another product review, and this one is of the indoor variety. The product we're reviewing today is something that I use behind the scenes a lot, that being my ProForm studio bike. There's nothing that riders like us like more than being outside on our bikes. However, depending on where you live, it seems like there are always periods of time where that just isn't possible. For a lot of us, it's weather related. Some of you live in places where it snows all winter long and you can't get out and ride because of that. Where I live, it's over 100 degrees for 4 or 5 months out of the year. The air quality can be terrible, and then we get smoke from wildfires that makes it really difficult to get out and ride our bikes on the trails. A lot of times, it just comes down to work. Sometimes we can't get all of our work done with enough daylight left to get out and get a ride in. Whatever the reason may be, if you can't get outside for a ride, you're left with a choice to make. You either don't ride at all or you find an alternative. For many years, that alternative for me has been riding a road bike on a trainer. And I can't tell you how much I abhor, detest, loathe riding a trainer. I've put so many hours in on a trainer over the years, especially back in the day when I was road racing. I hate riding the trainer, and I'll do almost anything to get out of doing that. So that's why this is now in my bedroom/office. Now, if you do a search on YouTube, you'll find all kinds of reviews of this ProForm studio bike. And that's because it's very popular. This is in the same class as the Peloton, which is obviously the most famous in the category and well known, but it's also one of the more expensive. But what you'll find with a lot of those reviews is that they're done by people who are using them or who come from more of a fitness background. So these are people that are into doing spin classes, studio classes, or using this as part of a workout program or boot camp type thing where they're mixing it up with a lot of things. What I wanted to do when I got this bike was see if it's really a viable training tool for a real world rider, especially a mountain biker. So that's really what my review of this bike is going to focus on, is how useful, if at all, it is for mountain bikers, and whether the training that you do on a bike like this will translate and actually get you results when you're out on the trail. To start, let's go over some of the main features and functionality of the bike itself. So one of the main features of the ProForm bike is the display. This is where all of your information comes from, and this is where your interaction with the training videos happens. It's touchscreen, it's fully color and high definition. I think it's around an 11-inch screen, and this is one of the big differences you'll find between this bike and something like the Peloton, where the Peloton has like a 21-inch high definition touchscreen, which is really beautiful, but that adds a lot to the price tag of that bike. So this is basically something that gives you similar functionality, just in a more budget-friendly package. The bike itself is really sturdily built. It's pretty heavy. It comes disassembled, but assembly, if you've got basic mechanical tool ability and tools, is really pretty simple. It probably took me less than an hour to assemble this and have it ready to ride. But you've got adjustable reach on the bars here, so you can move these forward if need be. You've got adjustable saddle height in about 1-inch increments. It does come with this saddle, which I've actually been okay with, but it uses standard width rails. So if you wanted to replace it with your favorite saddle, I believe that would be doable. I've got a couple of small, I think these are 3-pound weights. There are some videos that have you get off the bike and use the weights for different intervals. The cranks will accept regular, pedals that fit any normal bike. So you can use your mountain bike pedals if you like. You can use flats. I don't ride road bikes anymore, but I've got my old shoes and pedals laying around, so I thought this was a great use for those. You've got a water bottle holder cage, and that's really it as far as the features of the bike. This is just a brake to stop the wheel if you ever need to. It is essentially a fixed gear bike. You cannot coast. There's no freewheel function on it. So when you do a 45-minute video, you're pedaling for 45 minutes. One thing that I really like is that the operation of the bike is virtually silent. It doesn't make any noise. Cost for the ProForm bike is right around $1,400. You do need the app, which runs $39 a month for access to the entire library of workouts. Now, compare that to a Peloton, which the base price of the bike alone is about $22.50, and then you have potentially some setup and or delivery charges there. And then you're also looking at a $39 a month cost for their app, which you need to access any of their content. So right there, you're saving close to $1,000 on the cost of the bike, the equipment itself, and then you have a similar cost of maintaining or subscribing to that app on a monthly basis moving forward. Depending on when you watch the video, ProForm may have some promotions going, and I jumped on one of those myself. I got this bike essentially for free. What I did is they had a promotion going where you bought the app for a 3-year time period. So you paid that $39 a month times 36 months, which coincidentally adds up to right around $1,400. And then I got the bike for free. So instead of having $1,400 plus the $39 a month for 36 months, I just had that $39 a month for 36 months, no cost on the equipment. So for me, that made it way cheaper than the Peloton and a no-brainer at that point. Let me walk you through what the content in the workout library looks like on the bike here. So we'll go ahead and hit our button to start here. This is the library, and what I've got is I've got my favorites. So I've got some different series of rides that I've already earmarked, and I've started riding, or doing some of the workouts in them. You can see they range in the number of workouts. This one's got 12. We've got 21 over here. So a lot of different things you can do. There's road, there's mountain, there's some programs that have a mixture. Some programs have HIIT workouts, which is HIIT, high intensity interval training. Then you've got some more boot camp style workouts where they'll actually have you get off the bike and do exercises off of the bike and then get back on. As a mountain biker, I've been more drawn to the, I guess you call them scenic rides, but you ride along with a trainer. So I've been doing a couple different ones here, like the Switzerland Mountain Series, which is really cool. It's got a bunch of rides in the Swiss Alps and also the French Alps. And then one of the ones I started with that I really liked was this aerobic base builder series. And it is all filmed and done in Whistler on some pretty famous trails. And you can see that this one's got 12 workouts, so they're separated by week. So you can run through the program in order or do things based on, what you feel like doing that day. So you can see I've ridden most of this series already. When you're looking for content or programs that you think you might be interested in, they've got them broken down into a lot of different categories. So up here you see, you can pick it based on, some of the features, a beach ride, a city ride, studio rides, rides in the mountains. So you've got that. Then you can pick by series. You can scroll down. If you find a trainer you really like, you can find other videos that they've done here just by looking through the trainers. Or you can separate by beginner, road, mountain. They even have TED Talks that have a riding program that you do as you're listening to the TED Talk. And then of course studio workouts. So that's more similar to your Peloton programming. Big difference here is that Peloton, has a lot of live classes that you can jump in on and compete real time with other riders. The ProForm, which uses the iFit app, is really more about pre-recorded content. So these classes are recorded ahead of time, but you have a leaderboard while you're riding that if you choose to have that visible, you can still see how you're stacking up to people who have done the class in the past. So probably the thing I like the most about the bike itself is the library of workouts. And one really cool thing is that in the 3 or 4 months that I've had the bike, I've already seen more series be added. So I haven't even come close to scratching the surface as far as all the different rides you can do. And then they keep adding additional series. So that's really encouraging because I know that the content's not going to get stale. I'm not going to get bored. Some of the other features that I really like, that I'm really happy with this bike are, as I mentioned a little bit before, the adjustability. It's pretty good. You can get yourself fit on this thing pretty well and have a comfortable ride. Along those lines, this is much more comfortable than the standard road bike and magnetic trainer combo, like by a mile. I can ride this, I can do 45-minute rides on this, and I'm not dying. I do over 30 minutes on my road bike on the trainer, and I'm ready to kill somebody. So just as far as a comfort level, this is a huge leap above that. Having the trainer kind of riding along with you and telling you what we're doing, telling you why you're doing it, that kind of thing is really helpful. And with that, with this bike particularly, comes the feature that when you're doing a workout video, whether it's a studio or an outdoor ride, anything on this bike, you do not have to adjust the resistance of the bike. That's something that not even the Peloton has. A Peloton, you've got to manually adjust resistance as you're doing the class. The trainer will shout out a number and you have to change your resistance to that number. The ProForm bike does it for you. So you start climbing a hill, next thing you know, it gets harder to pedal. You start going downhill, it gets easier to pedal. So the bike does all that for you, and you just kind of focus on pedaling and hitting the cadence numbers that they're putting out there for you. Now, as with anything, there are some things that I don't like, some things that I would put in the cons category with this bike. A minor thing is the seat adjustment, the seat height adjustment. Those are pretty big jumps, and I've always been, I wouldn't say fussy, but it just feels better when your bike is at the exact right height for you. And I know my saddle height by heart. I have for 15 years, and I can't get it exactly where I want it because you see you've got a good inch between adjustment points here. So what I end up doing now is I'm sitting just a tiny bit lower than I would on a real bike. Not so low that, my knees are flaring out to the sides or anything like that, but it is just slightly off of where I would want it. There are two much bigger issues in my mind as far as problems that I have with it. First one is that this the iFit app doesn't integrate with Strava or iHealth. So when I do a ride on this, even if I have it uploaded into the app on my phone, it doesn't import to Strava. It doesn't communicate with iHealth, so I don't get any of that to use with other apps. I can't take that data and apply it. So I just have to enter everything manually if I want to have it in Strava and have it as part of my workout routine, and look at, the progress that I've made or how much I've done over, a period of time. My other big issue is the fact that when I'm doing a video, what the trainer says is often not what the bike does. Let me explain. If I'm doing a ride, say I'm on a mountain bike riding video, and they say, okay, we've got a cool down, or we've got a chance to recover here on this descent, so the resistance is coming off. Instead of the resistance backing off, most of the time it will shoot way up. So when we should be backing down to like an 8 or a 6 on the resistance, it's spiking up to a 15 or 16, which is pretty substantial. For someone like me who is kind of OCD and really detail oriented, that drives me insane. It's infuriating when they say, oh, we're doing this, and your bike's doing something completely different. That's not to say that you don't get a good workout, but it is annoying, and you have to figure out how to work around that. That's something that I hope they address on the software side. I would think that can be updated. I don't know why they haven't done that yet, but that is super annoying, and other people that I know that have this bike have had the same experience. So at the end of the day, this isn't a perfect piece of equipment. It's got some obvious flaws, some that I hope can be improved upon in the future. I'm really holding out hope that they get this issue with the bike resistance syncing up with the videos. I'm really hoping that that's something they can adjust or address with updates in the future. But what we come down to is a couple of questions. The first question being, is this worth the money? I would say yes. When you compare it to alternatives, mainly the Peloton, it is definitely a better value. Now, the question I posed at the beginning of the video is whether this is something that's actually useful and beneficial to real world riders. Like, do I get training on this that actually helps me when I'm out on the trail? And the bottom line is I do. I really do. And I really appreciate and have noticed the benefits of riding this. I just came out of a period where we had wildfires close by and we were buried in smoke for literally 2 months. It was hard to get out and ride without it being dangerous for your health. So I spent a lot more time on this bike the first couple of months that I had it than I had wanted to, but that gave me the opportunity to really see that with an extended period of riding this more than I was outside, what my fitness was like going back once I was able to ride outside more again, I didn't really lose anything. And that in itself was a huge victory to me. The issues with the resistance not matching up with what the coach is saying during the video, yeah, it annoys me. But at the end of the day, I get a good workout on this. I get a lot of cadence and resistance and intensity mixing. So you do a lot of different cadences, you do different resistances, you do different intensities all throughout the course of a workout. And that really mimics what we do, especially on mountain bikes. It helps your body learn to make different efforts and recover from them more quickly afterward. And that's always going to help you out on a real bike. So what any review really comes down to is the question of whether or not I would recommend it to you to buy for yourself. And in this case, I would. It's not perfect. It doesn't come without a few issues, but what you get for the money you get and the benefits that you can obtain by using it, I believe are worth the little annoying things that you have to put up with or work your way around while using it. It's way more comfortable than a trainer. I don't mind using it. I actually kind of look forward to the days when I plan to do this instead of go out and do a real ride. It mixes it up, and the videos keep you engaged to where you're not just counting the seconds. I don't know if you've ever ridden a trainer for 45 minutes, but it feels like 4 hours. And on this bike, the time actually goes really quick when you're doing one of the videos. So that in itself is a huge bonus and something that makes me know that I will continue to use this for a long time to come. So yeah, the ProForm bike gets a thumbs up from me. And if you have situations where you're stuck not being able to get outside and ride your bike as much as you want to, something like this can be a game changer. It can keep you in shape so that when you are able to get back out there, you're at peak fitness and haven't lost a thing. At the end of the day, nothing beats getting out and riding our mountain bikes for real. But when we can't always do that, it is nice to have an alternative. So thanks for watching the video. If you enjoyed it, please hit the subscribe button, like the video, share it. Stay tuned. I've got more stuff coming for you very soon. I appreciate you watching. Punk Uncle out.